Leatherman's been having a string of disasters recently, and this isn't a video just to shoot them down and hope they collapse. They're one of my favorite multi-tool companies, but I want to tell you, and hopefully they'll change and get back to their original greatness again. Now, recently I did a video and Matthew reached out to me and he said, hey, I bought a brand new Leatherman Wave. You can see some of those pictures on the screen right now. I want to know, is this what I need to expect from Leatherman? And I was appalled, frankly, because there was all kinds of fingerprints, smudges, stickiness. The blade was half open in the box, scratches on multiple areas of the brand new Leatherman Wave in the box. And picture after picture after picture, it looked way worse than most every Chinese multi-tool I have seen. And so one of Leatherman's big disasters right now is in production. Now, some of you might say, well, that's just one issue. It was just a bad day for Leatherman. And one of the things that I said to you when I got my brand new Leatherman Wave Alpha is, hey, I've noticed scratches on my $200 tool right out of the box. I've carried this to work, I think like one day, something like that. And then I was like, you know what? This is so expensive. These G10 scales rather, just not a huge fan of using them for work. And I have carried this in my pocket off and on a little bit, but not much, but right out of the box, scratches on my very expensive Leatherman Wave Alpha. Now, not only that, but multiple people have talked about, hey, there's issues with the Alpha, but with many other Leatherman tools as well, with the pliers being very tight. I still have a Leatherman rebar that I bought used that I can barely use it because the pliers are so tight. That's probably why someone got rid of it. I did try to fix it and I fixed it a little bit, but it still needs a lot more fixing. And some people have said they have taken their Leatherman and all day long for like a day or two, they've just done this to try to loosen it up. You know, that should not be. There is no excuse for that. If you're paying $200 for a tool, you shouldn't have to work it in for like 2 or 3 days. It should be ready right away. Leatherman has the issue, not the issue, but they have the answer when they made that special charge, that Leatherman Garage series. So I think Leatherman knows the answer, but unfortunately these pliers are not made in the US anymore, so Leatherman isn't even making the plier heads. From what I understand, they're made in Mexico. Now, over and over, I get taken to task about having different overseas multi-tools on my channel, and people say, you know, that's not right and so forth, which is ironic since I almost always carry my Leatherman that is modded, my Leatherman Wave. That's usually what I carry, and I talk about that quite a bit, and I buy pretty much every brand new model of Leatherman. I have a fairly extensive Leatherman collection reaching way back to the beginning of Leatherman. And so I understand that the Leatherman warranty is one of the very important things that people cherish about the Leatherman multi-tool. It is 25 years for the average person. And then if you become a Leatherman Insider, which is free, you can sign up and then you get points as you buy Leatherman tools. Now with this Leatherman Wave Alpha that I bought, I guess I've stepped up a tier in the Leatherman Insider program. And so now I get free shipping on everything supposedly. But yeah, so you get several perks. And that's one of the ways people say Leatherman is way better than everyone else. But I'm getting some feedback from you guys that say, hey, Leatherman warranty isn't near as good as you think it is. So someone reached out recently and said, this is something that happened to me. When I send emails to Leatherman, they do not answer them properly. I have to wait for a long time. And also customer service when I call them is almost rude. And sometime back, I had a situation where Leatherman banned me from buying anything from them from like several years. They had some random story about how I hadn't paid for something on my credit card. I had no clue what they were talking about. Customer service couldn't get to the bottom of it. And then suddenly I can buy from Leatherman again. I have no clue why, what happened exactly. All I could do was make some guesses. So I do understand. Now, customer service was not rude to me, but they are rude or almost rude to some people. And I have heard people say that Leatherman, their customer service staff, has admitted like, hey, we don't have near the amount of people that we need. So I think there is a lot of overworked people as well, which is not good. Now, also, some people are saying that someone said that, hey, they called Leatherman about the scissors on their Leatherman Wave Alpha, and the customer service rep said, hey, I've got my Leatherman Wave Alpha, and the scissors are not cutting hardly anything. And the customer service rep said, well, you haven't had it long enough to return it. So you have to use your scissors that don't work for a while longer before we can warranty them. And apparently the guy said, no, that's not how warranty should work, and eventually did convince Leatherman to take back the Alpha. But for a while, they were pretty much going to decline them warranty at the moment. So when you talk about Leatherman warranty, be very careful. That is 25 to 40 years if it works. And I think more and more that's becoming an issue for some people, especially overseas. It's going to be a lot more of an elaborate process. And so, yes, it's still an important part of Leatherman. Yes, it does still seem to work, but it may not be near as easy as it used to be in the past. And I think that's an important ingredient. And unfortunately, something Leatherman really needs to figure out. And we'll talk about that a little bit more because Leatherman's starting up a brand new program, which may be another disaster. All right, so the next thing to talk about is design, and that's where we actually need to take this Leatherman Wave Alpha for a field trip. In this next part of the video, I do actually have a small clip of good things to talk about Leatherman, and so I'll go ahead and show that now, and then we'll come back to some other issues with Leatherman design. So the next issue that a lot of people are saying that Leatherman is having one of their latest disasters is in the design department. And one of the complaints that I've heard about the Leatherman Wave Alpha is its crimpers. So I want to just do this mock test. Now, obviously, I would not be putting this on a bare wire usually. I just want to test the crimpers. People are saying that the G10, you could potentially damage the scales because they were not designed to crimp properly. So let's go ahead and hopefully you can see that there. Man, I don't know. I just heard something on the scales, which did not sound good. All right, so let's put it here. I don't know. I feel like mine are crimping because you have enough space between the scales, at least for this small piece. So I don't know if that is a huge issue like people are talking about. Let's do another one. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can crimp on there pretty good. I don't know that that's a huge issue. So I don't think that's a big design flaw or as big of a design flaw as some people have thought. Now, I think another disaster in Leatherman is in their design because it seems like they're continually going upscale. We're getting more MagnaCut, more MagnaCut. I am a little scared that we'll have MagnaCut on the Rev and the Sidekick and the Wingman soon, which would be crazy. But it seems like everything is going upscale. Everything is becoming more expensive. And at least they added MagnaCut without significantly changing the price on the Alpha from what the charge was. So that's a positive note. But it seems like designs are continually trending upward to be more premium, where they're overlooking some of the working class, some of the tradespeople, and Leatherman is leaving little choice but for some of those people to reach out for tools that make more sense to them. So with Leatherman not having the crunch, not having a bunch of keychain options, they're leaving a very wide gap. And I think that's something I would love to see Leatherman change. I don't think they will, but I do think that is an issue. Now, the next thing is marketing. Now, Leatherman has decided that they're going to offer new clothes. And so I'm going to have some of those pictures of them on the screen. I'm not sure what to think about that because on the one hand, I think, man, Might sort of like some of that for Christmas. But then on the other hand, I think Leatherman, really, that's what you're looking into right now, making knives and clothes. You're a multi-tool company. Let's make better multi-tools. There are new multi-tools coming out like every day almost, every month, every week. I'm continually finding new multi-tools and trying to decide if I want to buy them or not. And Leatherman is cranking out new clothes and new knives and a multi-tool about every year or so. And it just worries me they're going to get buried because they're not keeping up with things. Also, Leatherman has decided to open their own pawn shop. Now, we don't really know how this is going to work, but they are going to let you guys sell and buy used Leathermans. So Leatherman is starting what they call the Leatherman Exchange, and so far you can only sell tools that seem to mostly be available at the moment. So if you have a Bond, a Surge, an Alpha, a Wave Plus, Skeletal, if you have bit kits, a Leatherman tool pouch, Super Tool, Arc, Raptor, things like that, the curl, the ratchet driver, the hail, all those things you can sell on Leatherman, and they say they'll give you for your used tool up to 110% in store credit. Now, they're using a platform, and I'll put that platform on the screen so that you can buy and sell through that platform, and they will connect you to other people. Now, it doesn't seem like Leatherman is going to authenticate if your tool is actually real. And so there could be still some issues with people taking pictures of real tools and then never sending them. So that's a concern as well. But they're going to try to link you up. I guess probably there'll be a point system, a star system, something where you can just buy from star sellers eventually, I would assume. But at the outset, it does seem like it could be a little bit sketchy. But that is what Leatherman is doing, sort of setting up their own little pawn shop. And I think it's to get people to get rid of their used Leathermans and move on and buy new ones. Let me know if that interests you, if you think that's a good idea. I guess there are other companies that have done this, so Leatherman must think this is valuable and will continue to give value to people, and maybe people will be a little bit more less critical of Leatherman because, hey, they offer used Leathermans for cheaper. Yeah, I don't know about that, but it seems a little weird at the moment. Now, one of the things that I do find a little frustrating is that Leatherman seems to be continually pushing their tools toward the younger generation without taking into consideration that I think it's more of the older generation, my age and older. Onto this channel, it's basically a lot of interest in multi-tools with people over 40. So I think Leatherman seems to keep marketing these tools to 20-year-olds, 15-year-olds, maybe not that young, but younger people. And I think, man, you're getting rid of some of these tools that older people are interested in, and you're trying to gear all these collars and stuff toward a younger generation. And I don't know if that's a great idea, but we'll see what happens at Leatherman. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But sometimes I still take umbrage a little bit with some of their marketing. Now, all that said, I still think Leatherman makes some of the best multi-tools on the market for the value, but I do want them to realize that they cannot sit on their laurels. They need to be always innovating, always trying to be better, and always learning from their mistakes. And that is one of the real reasons why I feel like Leatherman is not doing so great at the moment. When Tim Leatherman was at the helm, it seemed like he was continually innovating, learning from mistakes, and so far that doesn't seem to be quite as quickly done at the moment. Let me know what you think. Let me know some of your stories with Leatherman.